Coming up on AgweekTV, drought expands in the Dakotas, even with some recent precip. We'll find out what that means for planting prospects. Farmers find out how to legally protect their freedom to operate. College students learn how to spot the signs of farm stress so they can help with prevention.
Taught him how to herd the horses and to learn to know them well.
And a North Dakota professor turns to telling stories about the Great Plains through his music. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Michelle Rook. President Biden has released his 2022 budget proposal, which contains $27.8 billion for USDA. That's a $3.8 billion increase from what was authorized this year. There's more money for research, education, and outreach, and a program to increase rural access to broadband. It also contains funding to expand small and regional meat processing facilities. But generally, Congress has more control over the budget than the president.
If you look at, I think overall, it's like an increase of 16% on domestic funding. And again, it gets back to, we've got he's got to work with Congress to get that done. And we'll see what happens there.
He says farm groups are working more through the appropriations process to further their priorities in Washington, D.C. The pork industry wants trade expansion, visa reform for year-round ag workers, and foreign animal disease prevention. Snow and rain in the region this week may help planting resume after some seeding stopped with soils too dry to get emergence. Yet it won't break the drought. The drought monitor shows extreme drought covers more than 70% of North Dakota, which forced a statewide disaster declaration. Kidder County in central North Dakota received as much or more moisture than other parts of the state. While it's welcome for small grain planting, farmers and ranchers need to prepare for continued dry conditions.
At this point in time, it will help with germination and forcing some of that fertilizer to start working for the producer. Every little bit helps, but we definitely need a lot more.
Nestor advises livestock producers to consider switching to planting later season crops because pasture land will likely suffer this year. Drought has also expanded in South Dakota despite some recent precipitation. The entire state is in some level of drought, ranging from severe to abnormally dry, with just a portion of north central South Dakota in extreme drought. Climatologist Laura Edwards says there are some parallels between this drought and 2012, like the dry fall and limited snow over the winter.
So a lot of similar things. A warm March as well is another factor with this warm outlook towards the summer. So cross fingers that we don't have a drought of that severe magnitude.
But Edwards says so far the longer-term models are showing below normal precip and above normal temperatures during the growing season. Spring wheat planting is running ahead of average pace with mostly dry soils. South Dakota leads the region with 30% planted, twice the normal pace. North Dakota and Minnesota are just getting started, but are also ahead of average. Some farmers are considering prevent plant, though, because it's too dry. As farming continues to expand at the same time more urban residents build in the country, there can be a tug of war between interests regarding the quality of life and the freedom to operate. Attorney Brian Donahoe told farmers in southeast South Dakota about how right-to-farm covenants can legally protect them from nuisance lawsuits that arise from odor or the like. They also provide a shield when citizens challenge conditional use permits. He says the language can be added to county zoning ordinances, so when residents move into an agriculturally zoned area, they also know what to expect.
When they're written correctly, they can provide protections to the county and to the farmer for those things that are newly built, and in some cases that can provide protection for things that are in existence but are going to expand.
Donahoe detailed how Minnehaha County adopted a right-to-farm clause in response to rapid growth in Sioux Falls. He says that law has held up well in court and may be a good idea for other counties. A federal judge in Minnesota has upheld a lawsuit against the USDA overturning a 2019 rule change that allowed pork processing plants to operate without line speed limits. The United Food and Commercial Workers Union challenged the regulation, claiming it would impact worker safety. The rule also transfers certain inspection responsibilities to plant workers. The suit claims that compromises consumer welfare. but farm groups disagree.
As we've always said, our folks that produce our product, our folks that process our product are the same ones that consume our product, and we're very concerned about the safety of the food, and we're not compromising safety in any regards with this ruling.
Meat processors say the faster line speeds are a function of improved technology like robotics. To provide common sense rules for commercial transport of livestock, insects, and ag commodities, North Dakota Senator John Hoeven is co-sponsoring the Modernizing Agriculture Transportation Act. The bill establishes a working group to reform the controversial hours of service and electronic logging device regulations at the Department of Transportation. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and biofuels supporters are urging passage of funding for a biofuels infrastructure grant program. Walz's COVID-19 recovery budget proposal includes an investment of $2 million per year to fund the program. The grants would increase access to biofuels across Minnesota and help service station owners install equipment to ramp up use of higher blends like E15 to E80. The Minnesota Corn Growers Association has committed $1 million to the program. Coming up on AgweekTV,
we'll meet a young family that skipped a generation to get back into livestock.
Superior Grain Equipment offers you the industry's best dryer and grain handling equipment. So make the superior choice and get higher quality grains, test weights, and prices while using half the energy. Superior Grain Equipment.
You can get the field results you want in varying conditions with the flexibility of the Summers VRT Renegade. Featuring on-the-fly blade angle adjustment from 0 to 19 degrees. And if you want the simplicity of a super coulter with the ability to move a little dirt, you'll love the all-new Summers Super Coulter Samurai. Go to summersmfg.com or visit your local dealer to learn more about North America's broadest line of tillage equipment and other products from North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing.
Growing up as a kid, Gateway was always the grain bin building and the grain handling people that were out in our area. One of the reasons we chose to go with Gateway was they're the leader in the industry and they are the #1 Brock dealer in the United States. We've really liked the Brock design and some of the designs that Gateway has come up with throughout the years. My best advice would be to just put your trust in them and let them come up with the design that's going to fit your needs.
Challenges. We all face them at some time. But it seems that ag has seen its fair share over the past few years. Has your farming operation been able to stand the challenges? If not, maybe it's time to talk to the risk management specialist at Martinson Ag. We can help you make the sound decisions to help your operation weather the storm. Martinson Ag, your one-stop shop for crop insurance, livestock insurance, and marketing. We are here to take your operation to the next level.
Superior Grain Equipment is committed to quality and service. Protect your bottom line and your future with superior quality, protection, and reliability. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
We're going to talk today about a revolutionary auto steer product that you guys have developed.
We back one of these things in, it'll drain a 40-acre patch just within hours.
What can you tell us about what dairy farmers do to make sure that their animals are happy?
Their care is our primary concern.
Is there still time for producers to get storage bins up?
Absolutely. We still can definitely get something up and ready for corn harvest.
Author, professor, and musician Tom Ezern has dedicated his life to documenting and teaching about life on the Great Plains. Agweek's Mike Speaker recently sat down with the historian to find out more. It's our Agweek cover story.
I'm a farm boy from western Kansas, still got the farm, by God. But every fall I teach the history of the Great Plains. It's not just an academic interest, it's a life. And that's a message I try to bring across.
Tell me a little bit about Plains Folk. Would you call it a brand?
It was in 1983 that my great friend and co-author Jim Hoy and I were coming home from a speaking date. And then we discovered we were both thinking about the same thing, to write a newspaper column about history and folklore of the Great Plains.
And you wrote books documenting history of the Plains for that given time, or how would you explain those?
There's one of them on your table there, Custom Combining on the Great Plains. You know what custom harvesting is, right? Mm-hmm. That was my doctoral dissertation, for Pete's sake. Most recently, this book, Pacing Dakota, That also, that comes right out of my radio script.
What is it about the plains that attracts you to them, or what do you like about it?
Well, a lot of people think that the Great Plains are a hard place to live, right? Everything from 105-degree temperatures to blizzards, and to me it's the comfort landscape, though, level ground, where you can see what you're doing. I was born to it and have an affinity for it.
I do remember from some of your classes, what was exciting to me is you'd pull out the guitar and start playing a little bit.
We founded the Willow Creek Folk School last April, and since then every Friday night I'm live streaming.
So what would you say is the real root of the school?
I used to teach a lot of Great Plains folklore classes, and I thought, I want to bring that back.
Any plans to expand it after the pandemic?
We'll take this thing on the road. The sort of places where I often go out and do public speaking anyway: independent bookstores, public libraries, historical societies. The potential is terrific. So I'll be writing and publishing out of this, and in a scholarly way as well as a popular way for years and years ahead.
You can watch Mike's full interview with Tom and read his article at agweek.com. A young couple is using social media and direct marketing to sell their beef and lamb directly to consumers, restaurants, and schools. But as Mikkel Pates found, Erica and Brandon Goette's operation had an unusual start.
Direct marketing is a key to this livestock enterprise in southeast Minnesota.
I got the passion for agriculture on this particular place that we are here.
Brandon Goette wasn't raised on a farm, but he's fulfilling a lifelong dream. He and his wife Erica are back on his grandparents' place raising beef, cattle, and sheep. They sell most of it directly to the public.
We'll sit at night and put together a list of restaurants via Google, looking at menus and deciding if we think it might be a good fit. And then she goes and just stops in and tries to talk with the chef.
Brandon also works full-time as an agronomist, but Erica quit her job as a USDA livestock market reporter to concentrate on raising and marketing their meat. They initially found success advertising their products on Facebook.
It was a leap of faith, to be honest. We had a set of lambs that we didn't want to take the discount on through the sale barn, so we took a chance and fattened them and put them in the freezer and crossed our fingers.
They sold those cuts out in 48 hours and were on their way. Later they moved to the Goette home place at Bryceland, Minnesota. COVID hit and they filled a trailer with frozen meat and traveled to bigger cities around the area, including Minneapolis, Sioux Falls, and Rochester.
It was about the same time that the grocery stores were starting to be very short on meat, but we sold a lot of meat in the first 4 months.
So while COVID has meant pluses and minuses for this budding livestock enterprise, they're hoping the local food interest will carry on into the future. For Agweek, this is Mikkel Pates at Bryceland, Minnesota.
You can find Goette Farms on Facebook or at the website on your screen. Ahead on AgweekTV, we'll have some advice on maximizing soybean yields in dry conditions. And we'll see how some college students are learning to help detect farm stress to prevent suicide.
They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. At OK Tire, we're here to keep you going. From Firestone tires and replacements to retreads and even Firestone tracks, we have you covered. Our certified Firestone experts are ready to get you back up and running. No matter if you're on site or in the field, saving you time and money. OK Tire, we keep the tough going.
We have products that no other companies have. That gives us a bit of an advantage and a bit of an edge, and it provides some security to our customer base that we've been here, we're here to stay, and we want to still provide these new innovations to the customers today. It's co-granulated products where we're putting together multiple nutrients. We've got products in our Micro Essentials lineup that contain sulfur and zinc, and we also have products on our potash side which contain boron, which is a newer product for us, which is called Aspire.
Salty soils? Meet Calci, one of the quickest and most effective way to fix salty soils. It's natural, it's easy to use, and most importantly, it works. On sodic soils, on saline soils, on all soils. Put calcium to work leaching salt below the root zone and out of your field, resulting in less compaction, better irrigation, improved health, and lots of these guys for your soil. And higher quality forage, greater yields, and lower bottom line production costs for you. With more than 20 years of use in the industry and a proven track record of bringing life back to challenging soils, you can trust Calcine to ensure your fields are their most productive. Calcine, let's create healthier soils. To learn more about how Calcine can improve the productivity of your fields, contact Jim Erickson or visit calcine.us.
Go beyond the headlines with an Agweek membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to Agweek and AgweekTV.
While we did get some moisture this week, the planting forecast looks mostly cool and dry in the near term. Here's John with our Agri-Weather Outlook.
Things have certainly changed in the past week across North America, and specifically the Northern Plains upper Midwest. A lot of it related to the cool weather that's come in. Of course, a lot of it also had to do with the big rain which fell last week, especially across the eastern Dakotas into Minnesota, and then a couple of little snow systems since then that have fairly dramatically changed the soil moisture situation over the upper Midwest. To the high plains out to the west, it's still extremely dry. And the outlook is still fairly dry, so I do look at that as something of a blip. Going back to Easter, we had a lot of warm weather in early April, and that was due to call it the Polar Vortex is a little bit of a stretch, but it's a word that gets bandied around a lot when it comes to these types of air outbreaks out of the north. But back during late March and April, we had the fairly typical strong circulation around the North Pole, and for the most part, cold weather. The really Arctic cold was locked up in Arctic regions, but that allowed the warm weather to come north into the northern plains when we got a jet stream that moved north. Well, since that time, the polar jet stream, and in particular in this section of it across the pole, has really gotten kind of squeezed and longed. It's a polar vortex disruption, and these get a little rare this time of year. You don't usually see these in April, but it has allowed for this colder weather to drop back into the northern plains, and it looks like it may stay cool for a while. Now, we really have a more active jet stream than that. It's not particularly strong over North America, but it is split into two parts, and this has allowed for some cool weather to kind of reinvigorate itself across the northern plains. We're melting. We're not seeing it below freezing all day. That stuff is still up in Canada, but it's fairly cool to start out this period. Warm weather in the southeast and very warm weather out along the west coast, where things have gotten very, very dry this spring because there just weren't very many rainstorms during the course of the winter. That warm weather, as in temperatures into the 70s, going to extend all the way up into western Canada for quite a bit of this 2-week period. Meanwhile, the weather across the rest of the U.S. will stay generally cool to mild into the northern plains, maybe a brief intrusion of warm air, but it won't likely linger very long. As we go into the second week, that split is still there. That's going to keep the Arctic air really locked up into the north. It looks like we may see some moderation into the northern plains toward the end of April, and it may be a little bit of stormy weather in the south toward the end of the period. That's where I think the weather will be the wettest over the next 2 weeks. For this first week, definitely some showers and thunder showers in the southeast, nothing more than a stray flurry or sprinkle in the northern plains. And then for the last week of the period, which will be April 25th to May 1, still looks pretty dry in the northern plains, especially the western high plains. Rain and thunder showers and storms will expand into the Midwest, but not go too far west.
At Trans Systems, every day is a great day to haul beets. Our family-owned business moves more beets than anyone in the world. We enjoy good work and good pay, and many of us have been here for decades because it's a place where our opinions are heard and our accomplishments are seen. We're your home every day and can take summers off. Here, our safety and yours matter most. Trans Systems, a sweet haul in the Red River Valley since 1983.
things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
This is Dennis Beliski reminding you we do auctions and we do them well. You've built your operation with hard work, and when it's time to sell, all or part, you deserve the best. Details from repairs and preparation to promotion and settlements are not routine. Chances are you'll only do this once, so we'll tailor an auction just for you and get it done right. On-site at your farm or added to one of our highly successful Alaris Center auctions, we have the skill, reputation, and integrity to meet your needs with best-in-class commitment and quality service. Find us at resourceauction.com or call 701-757-4015.
At North Star Ag, we're more than your short-line machinery dealer. We're also full service, and we're farmers first. That means we know it's not about what's best, but what's best for your farm. Whether you're planting, growing, or harvesting, we're there for all your equipment, parts, and service needs. And we've been doing it since 2009, with the largest inventory and availability in the area. Check us out at northstar-ag.com or call us at 701-361-4790.
Agweek brings you timely agriculture news from field to fork in digital, print, and television. Fresh every week, join me, Mike Speaker, from the Agweek editorial team for a deeper dive into farm and ranch stories with personalities from the world of agriculture. If you are involved in farming, ranching, or agribusiness, the Agweek podcast is the show for you.
AgweekTV Soy Insight, brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council.
Much of the region is experiencing dry conditions at planting, and that could continue into the growing season. But in this week's Soy Insight, we'll look at a few things growers can do to maximize what moisture there is. Without adequate subsoil moisture in the mid to late summer, when soybeans hit their reproductive and filling stages, timely rains are even more critical. But there are management practices that can maximize soybean yield potential in dry conditions. Crop specialist Greg Andres advises reduce tillage, planting early if possible, choosing the right seed maturity, and consider planting narrower rows so the canopy closes sooner.
If we get that canopy closed earlier, that gives the plant a better chance of collecting sunlight and ultimately producing biomass and at the end, a seed. Another advantage as we're talking today is that with the canopy closing, it'll conserve soil moisture that might otherwise evaporate from the soil. And that's moisture we definitely need later on in the season once we get into the seed production stage.
Andres says research shows that soybeans respond well to direct seeding into the previous year's crop residue or no-till. Farming is a dangerous and high-risk occupation. That leads to higher levels of stress and suicide than the general population. But Rose Dunn found some NDSU students who are learning how to watch for signs of distress in those around them when they enter farm careers.
Farmers deal with many stressors, from the economy to the weather. And the profession has a higher rate of suicide than most others. That's a statistic the Rural Resilience Program would like to change. They call it mental health first aid, except first responders might be loan officers or insurance agents.
When you need to talk to your crop insurance broker is when you're in disaster, right?
NDSU senior Susan Hart organized this class on campus. The 3-hour course teaches about the signs of stress to watch out for in clients, neighbors, friends, and others they will deal with in work and life. And it gives some skills for helping.
After a suicide happens, I've had several in my community, people always say, well, I should have seen the signs. Well, the first part of seeing those signs is knowing what to look for.
NDSU junior Billy Lentz was drawn to the Rural Resilience Program out of her desire to help others in distress after she graduates and starts working in ag.
Mental health has been an issue that is finally kind of getting the attention that it deserves in the agriculture industry, and I feel that especially after the year that agriculturalists have experienced, that training like this is not only really beneficial but extremely important.
Hart says response to the program has been good, and she hopes NDSU continues to offer it in the hope of saving lives. In Fargo, this is Rose Dunn for Agweek.
The program was developed by Michigan State University and is being distributed by the American Farm Bureau. Delahead South Dakota State FFA Convention makes a big move.
Dig, lay, and bury drain tile all in one pass.
with the Crary Tile Pro Plow. The Crary Tile Pro Plow lays tile up to 7 feet deep with boot sizes of 4 to 12 inches. Advantages of installing drain tile to your field provides increased overall yield, improved soil moisture levels, and controls soil erosion. It pays to tile with a Crary Tile Pro. To locate a dealer near you, visit www.crarytilepro.com.
At North Star Ag, we're more than your short-line machinery dealer. We're also full service, and we're farmers first. That means we know it's not about what's best, but what's best for your farm. Whether you're planting, growing, or harvesting, we're there for all your equipment, parts, and service needs. And we've been doing it since 2009, with the largest inventory and availability in the area. Check us out at northstar-ag.com or call us at 701-361-4790.
The planter service technicians at Titan Machinery have the training, experience, and genuine Case IH parts and service to get the most out of your planters. From pre-season tune-ups to precision planting upgrades and major overhauls, the knowledgeable professionals at Titan Machinery will maximize your planting productivity. And before storing your equipment after the season, contact your Titan Machinery dealer about post-season uptime planter specials and genuine Case IH parts and service. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH and precision planting specialists.
Steffes Group, selling land and the equipment to farm it since 1960. If you're interested in selling or have questions about our auction process, head to our website at steffesgroup.com to contact us at any one of our 4 locations located throughout the Midwest. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to view all of our auction previews and recaps to stay up to date on the market in your area.
For Agweek, this is Mikkel Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of Agweek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. The South Dakota State FFA Association made history this week at their state convention. After 93 years, the annual event was moved from Brookings to Rapid City, plus most states held virtual conventions this year. The state officers said they did it for the members and were pleased to have nearly 1,800 in attendance.
The main goal was to have this convention in person. That was our biggest want out of this year, because there's only 4 other, or us including us, 4 other states that have in-person convention.
The sessions were also broadcast online, including the selection of this year's star winners and the new state FFA officer team. Kristen Clark, the Iowa farmer who writes the Food and Swine blog, is also a monthly Agweek magazine columnist and shares videos on agweek.com. This week, to gear up for the summer grilling season, she shares her favorite way to prepare a bacon cheeseburger. Go to agweek.com to check out her burger video and also her tips on getting your grill ready for summer. Thanks for watching this week's edition of Agweek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have yourself a great and safe week.